So, you ever noticed every day your feed gets filled with stories designed to make you feel something? We're talking about social media.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll find a tearjerker about a little boy saving a dog, or a headline claiming an alien probe just entered our solar system, or a meme meant to make you furious at those people on the other side. Well, here's
Yes.
the thing.
I don't know about the alien probe one, but yeah, I've seen the other one.
I've seen the alien probe thing lately with the 3-eye atlas comet that's going around. People are saying
Yeah.
it's an alien probe.
Yeah.
But Bobby, here's the deal. Those posts aren't about inspiring you. They're not about informing you or saving a puppy for that matter. They're about harvesting your engagement and turning it into cold, hard cash.
How quaintly phrased. Go right ahead there, Barry.
All these grandma
Harvesting your
stories,
engagement.
the alien mysteries, political outrage is all the same playbook with different costumes.
Yeah, well, maybe I need to listen to my box. It's chill, freeze, cool.
Well, maybe we could dive in and kind of pull back the curtain on some of this stuff, because what it comes down
Yeah.
to is your clicks are paying somebody else's bills, and the more and more I think about it, the more it just enrages me even further. So maybe we
So
could
you
talk
go
it out
in
for a little bit.
and like the warrior for Sparta, you're already dead, right? So if you make it out, it's joy. So they're already harvesting you. If you deny them, you've gained perspective
Just a
somehow.
little bit,
Just a little.
just a
you know.
little bit.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
When you make that agreement that, hey, I know you're taking my stuff, but I'm getting features for it. I'm getting something for it.
Sure.
Then it's okay. And I've come out of a couple of things already this week where I realized, I'm doing something with things that they harvested my stuff. Yeah. But I got features. So, there's
Always felt
you
that
could
way
just
about
think of it like that.
Google. Google knows way too much about me.
Way too
But
much.
them and Amazon both, but they throw some really cool stuff my way.
They do.
And they know me well enough to know the things that I could really use, and it would
Yeah.
enhance what's going
And
on.
they provide it. So I'm
Yeah.
okay with it.
Yeah, it's like a
That's my
contract.
agreement with it. Yeah, it's a contract. And you have to think of it like that.
Yeah, so I'm with you. There's a good side to that kind of data harvesting, and then there's another side that I'm noticing here lately, and it's not even so much data harvesting; it's more attention harvesting more than anything else. So here's kind of what I learned about it. For instance, you get online and you see, I don't know, whatever. It doesn't matter what political party you're part of, but you happen to see a political post that it's something that either enrages you or you agree with, and you decide to go in and look at it and either say, "Yeah, you guys are nuts. I don't believe this. This is just wrong," and you put a comment in, or you say, "Wow, this is the best thing since sliced bread." Yes, I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. Either one of those are just two sides of the same coin. They got your attention and they got you to engage. So why is that a big deal? Well, what I've learned is that these kind of accounts that you see out in social media land, they get paid for engagement. They get paid for eyeballs. And they don't care what kind of engagement it is. You can be agreeing with them all day long, or you could be disagreeing with them all day long. You engaged with them. So the thing is after a while, these accounts, when they get enough eyeballs and they get enough engagements, then they start to get paid for it. So they start to send out even more of these things, and they pull in as much engagement as they possibly can. And then after a while, there's another level to this. Not only will, like, say, Meta, who owns Facebook and Instagram, they have certain metrics for if you are getting enough eyeballs or you're getting enough watch time, then they might play some ads around your stuff. Maybe it's part of your reels. They might throw an ad before it or an ad after it or something like that. And you get some of the cash off of that after a while if you've got a big enough audience. So what builds your audience? More engagement, more eyes on things, controversial things that maybe your friends will share and get more eyeballs on it. So eventually you start building up this kind of engagement farm. They want more and more people looking at their stuff because they get paid for it. And it gets even more insidious, Bobby. What happens is after that's the case, then they're starting to do well. They've got a bunch of eyeballs on stuff. You might have somebody come along and just buy their account from them for a big ton of money. And why would they do that? Well, because of all those eyeballs out there, especially if there's eyeballs out there that are of a particular political persuasion, maybe, or a certain age who gets upset by a lot of things and or gets triggered by puppies having trouble, or who are into aliens. What it doesn't really matter what the subject is. It's just if you can get enough eyeballs around your page, then somebody will pay you for it either directly with the social media companies or somebody will come and buy it up for you. And then all of a sudden they'll turn it and start putting their own messages out there. I've noticed this before. You got one account you see, hey man, that's really cool stuff. That's great. That's great. And then all of a sudden they maybe like turn into some really weird political bent all of a sudden. Well, something might have happened is they got bought. They got paid. The person who originally built the account got paid for all those eyeballs that they had gathered up, and then basically sold your attention to somebody else. So I've run into this a lot lately. I've kind of seen it more and more because my feeds are starting to get eat up with things that I've never seen before, like accounts I've never seen before, but they're of a particular persuasion. One, I've loved the whole subject of aliens since I was a kid. We're sci-fi guys. We kind of dig that. So I see a lot of that because Facebook knows that's kind of a thing for me. I see more and more of them, and they're terrible. I mean, they're terrible. But I think that's even a vector. It's like the more terrible it is, the more people will comment that it's terrible, which
Yeah,
is eyeballs,
yeah,
which
there
is
is terrible.
engagement.
There is so bad it's good.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. And
I
I'm seeing the same thing on the politics front. I see is more things that I agree with and more things that I disagree with, and they're all getting more and more fringe and wanting you to disagree with them or agree with them in the comments and those kinds of things. Or there'll be call outs to where maybe you'll have an enraging headline, and then down in the comments, the very first comment is go to this website to find out more. And if you go to that website, then you're really hooked at that point. You're going to see 7,000 ads that they're getting paid for.
so Barry, I'll
It's a
tell
rabbit
you,
hole, man. It's a rabbit
I
hole.
recognize that mean, and I fight against it. So when I see my YouTube filled with things of the similar persuasion, I just think of things random and put a search in to try to get it. And there's even a refresh button on YouTube, I think, where you can do it. I'm not
Yeah, I
sure
think
if it's a real button or something to fake you out, but I hear you. I do.
yeah.
I really hear you. So
So
yeah.
why am I talking about it here? Just because I'm being enraged about it? No, not really. I'm thinking it's that maybe our audience might have some relatives of a certain age who are maybe in social media, maybe not in social media, but they're probably getting enraged by some of the things that they see, and it might be bothering their sleep. It might be just bothering their whole attitude. It might be
So
instituting fear that shouldn't be there. All these
so
kinds of
yeah,
things.
it's funny you mentioned this. I try hard not to get too personal, but my loved ones are going through that. Especially my mom has found a way to make everything a social media item. What I mean by that, she does that with mail, her regular mail. When she reads, she obsesses on those messages, those junk mails. On TV, she leaves it on a particular channel. Somehow the channel is I guess pre-programmed to try to get people of a certain time, of a certain age. So you know what I mean. The commercials are about housewives during the day, and the elderly, from 5 to 4 or something like that. Something that you go, what are they targeting? Well, they're targeting her, and she's responded to them. So I have to, I have to be aware of them so I can counter them, and also understand that her reactions are somehow based on what you're talking about. She's not into YouTube or Instagram. She doesn't do any of that stuff. But TV, mail, even her phone calls all affect her that way
Yeah,
in a way that I'm often surprised by.
they
And
hit
it's
on a
maybe
subconscious
because,
level sometimes, don't they?
yeah, her resistance is not as high as it used to be.
Hmm.
And therefore those, even the 1950s way of driving you up a wall now drives her up a wall, and I have to be careful about that. So maybe I turn this box on it. Maybe it's time to chill. Tell her to chill and not worry about the news so much. The news is bad. 24-hour news cycles do this all the time. They give you this high low, the world's going to end, and then they show you the puppy and what it did once, just like
Yeah,
moving you back
yeah.
and forth almost. So I don't know how this relates to car tech and tips other than media, I guess, affects everyone and you need to be aware of it.
Yeah,
So,
it's definitely a tech thing. It's an algorithm thing.
yeah.
It's a, I don't know, weaponizing your attention kind of thing, and
Mhm.
it affects us as Gen Xers. I know it's got to affect our parents and the generation before us.
Oh, it does.
It does,
It
and
does.
probably even worse. I mean, one I like to make a joke about is like, I know there's like cozy TV is one of the things out there that kind of shows a lot of shows from when I was a kid, like stuff that was going on in the 70s. And the targeting thing you're talking about, they're talking about specific kinds of medicines right now. They're talking about Medicaid benefits or Medicare benefits, or,
All the time.
or
Reverse
call,
mortgages.
yeah, do this thing and you'll get this at no cost to you. It's billed to Medicare, that kind of stuff. But my favorite thing on these commercials is one of them will go, alert, alert, your Medicare may be in jeopardy or something to that effect. But that
Right.
alert thing kills me. Yeah, I'm thinking, who just jumps up and says, okay, I'm listening now.
The answer, my mom. My mom.
Yeah. Okay. There you
So
go.
she'll call me once she sees that commercial and goes, "Is there alert?" No, it's not. Commercial, mom. Or rap.
It's insidious, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, it really is. And so my approach lately has been, I go on these, social media cleanses every once in a while and just kind of stay away from it altogether. I'm also on a national news cleanse too. I just can't
Yeah,
right
me
now.
too.
I
Now,
try to
I'm
keep it local as
fully
possible.
aware that we are part of that mechanism in very small ways. So you can listen to us. We will not bring any of that stuff in. So
Exactly. I
like and
know it
subscribe.
is.
It's good. Go ahead and do that. It's fine.
It is weird, isn't it, to be part of the social media landscape, but also recognizing that it can be used for evil. So, which I guess really comes down to it's just a tool.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a tool. What you do with that tool is another matter altogether.
And
But
everybody has to discern what information is out there
yeah,
and how it affects you and if it's true and sourced and things like that. And we try to do that here, but we're not perfect either. So sometimes the information we're sourcing is wrong. But you know, everybody has to do that. And caretakers in particular have to do that for the people they're caretaking with. They have to engage with that.
they really
So
do. But because especially a lot of people of that generation that they're caring for don't understand that just because you heard it on TV doesn't mean it is true. Or it's a viable source or a reputable source or any of that kind of stuff.
they're used to an editing world probably where the best sources bubbled to the top because there was a layer of effort that they had to get through. They were vetted, they were they were, looked at, they were argued way before they were presented on TV. And now all these things can be coming out with no level of vetting, no level of RT.
And
And
everybody and his
so
brother can broadcast. I mean, we're doing it
everybody's
right
an
now.
expert,
Yeah, exactly.
including us.
Right. So anyway, that's one of my pet peeves right now. So I'm kind of working through that, as you might have been able to tell. So what else have you
I
got going
noticed
on?
that you were on your soapbox because you were a little higher in the window, just a tiny bit. So
That's
it's
when I
okay.
start leaning in. Is that what it is?
That's when you start like that.
Oh my goodness. So what you got going on these days?
Well, a little update from something I brought up a couple shows ago. My lawn starter experiment has proven to go well. I
Well,
do it,
good.
just like we just talked about. I'm recognizing the catch, and the catch is, yeah, they want you to do some things. They want you to, have some services, and sometimes those services cost extra money. And frankly, I looked at it and I went, oh, that's interesting. If I were in a position where I didn't want to rake my leaves in my yard, I could pay for that, I guess.
Yeah,
So I'm entertaining that idea. So they have some success, but the service itself is worth the money.
that's great.
Very well done. App is very well clear, but a lot of good communication. So when they can't do something, they get back to me and say, "Well, reschedule it. You want options?" So it is exactly as it appears, and my yard has never looked better. So hey,
That is wonderful.
success story. So I'll have to give a single thumbs up on Lawn Starter, and I might give it two down the road if they continue to do well. But they've done a good job. I think this is a really useful service, especially if you're in a situation where you can't do as much for that location as you want to. Probably. I have someone who does my mother's yard, but if I were in a situation where that was lost to me, I know I could do Lawn Starter and probably find somebody. So that's kind of
That's
nice.
that's wonderful, and I can give them a thumbs up too, or at least a half of a thumbs up anyway. Because I called them, I actually got on the app and had a conversation with them about my dad's place,
Cool.
and his for them ended up being too big. There was too much grass. But what I'm giving them a thumbs up for is that they were able to look at it and say, yep, we would love to be able to help you, but that's too big for our folks. So don't, we'll go ahead and tell you right now, we're not going to be able to pull that off for you. And I really respected that, is that,
Yeah.
don't leave me alone. Don't bring in somebody who's going to do this, who's gonna charge me an exorbitant price for it. All that. We were super communicative and really easy to deal with. So yeah, I can give them a thumbs up as well. Even though it didn't work out for me, I'm sure it will work out for other people
That's all
for
you
sure.
can ask is for someone to be honest about what service they can provide, and there's
Yeah,
nothing wrong with that.
100%, 100%. Wow, thinking about being honest, I got something interesting here. So
Did we just do a segue to the
I
next
think
thing?
we did. I think we did, and It this is a weird little scam that we ran into this past week or 2. My wife had some doctor's appointments in the last couple of weeks, nothing serious, but it's like she's gone and had a couple of little things in an office somewhere. But, you always it gets charged to, if you're a certain age, you get charged to Medicare, and then your supplement picks up pieces of it and that kind of stuff. But whenever that happens, you'll always get an explanation of benefits in the mail
Yeah,
from your insurance company or from
like
Medicare, that kind of thing.
Express
And it's
Scripts or
basically
something
saying
like
what they
that.
covered and what they didn't cover.
Yeah,
And, usually I am guilty about just getting those in the mail and just throwing them out because I'm not paying attention to them. They're not really giving me that much information. But my wife is very, very conscientious about that. She likes to look over that stuff. And she did this week. And she saw the charges for what was covered and wasn't covered for the doctor's appointment. And then there were some other things down there. She started looking into it, and it looked like that she had been charged, or Medicare in her name had been charged over $16,000 for catheters. She doesn't need catheters. She doesn't use catheters. There's no catheters around here. $16,000 over 3 months. It's crazy. So, she got on the phone with them and let them know that there was something weird going on, and they thanked her profusely for reporting it and that they were gonna go hunt it down, essentially. But apparently this is a big deal, and it happens all the time, that people can slide things in and under the guise that people aren't paying attention. And we don't necessarily personally get billed for any of that kind of stuff, but Medicare does. And a lot of times they just go ahead and pay it, and it's just fraud. It just comes down to being fraud, and it runs everybody's bills up over the years, and it costs us all money. So if you happen to get those explanations of benefits, is worth taking a look at them just to make sure that you and the government are being charged the right sorts of things if you're of the age that you have Medicare. So,
yeah, I think that's a good
interesting.
idea because not only that, sometimes it's just mistakes that if you catch them, you
Sure.
can get them to do something different. So I agree. Yeah, I
Yeah.
do look at them a little bit more. My wife's better at it than I am, but I need to get better.
Yeah. Me too. Me too. It's just one of those things. Gosh. So I got another governmental thing for you
Okay.
today. Thinking about Medicare and thinking about governments and stuff. I had a call from my aunt a week or 2 back, and she was telling me that her phone had gone off in the middle of the night making all this noise. And,
Yeah.
okay, I'm thinking, okay, what was that about? And she started telling me what was going on. And what it was basically was an Amber Alert. When a child goes missing or has been abducted or something, they'll send out a message to certain areas to say, be on the lookout for this person. Or if there's, really, really bad weather or something like that, there'll be alerts that goes to phones, and it can scare you in the middle of the night. It kind of freaked my aunt out because she had never experienced that before. It was like 2 a.m. But she basically said, I live in assisted living. What am I supposed to do about this? I don't want it waking me up in the night, but I don't want to turn my phone off at night. I like to keep it on in case some family members need to get in touch with me, but I don't want that happening. So I did a little looking around, and it turns out you can turn those things off. On an iPhone, especially, I'm sure you can probably do this on an Android as well. It's fairly simple to do. Essentially, you go to your phone settings and you navigate over to notifications. And in notifications, I think, well, on iPhones, it's notifications. I think it's safety and emergency on Android phones, maybe. But essentially, slide down and find the wireless emergency alerts or government alerts sections inside notifications. When you go down there, you can pick and choose what you want to see. You can say, I want to turn them all off. I can say, I want to see weather alerts, but not Amber alerts, or I don't want to see any of them, or you can kind of pick and choose what's there. It's really kind of handy to be able to turn those on and off in situations like in this case, my aunt's in assisted living. She says, I can't do a thing about this. I would rather not be scared at night. So I went over and showed her on her phone how to do it, and we turned them off, and now she doesn't have to worry about it. So I don't know if that's the case for you or any of your other loved ones, but it
Well, I
might be
think this
handy.
is a really good idea because there are lots of, and my mother can't sometimes tell me what's happening. So it's hard to diagnose when it's happening. So I've looked at my situation, and you can also turn that off, not on your phone, but I think there's some devices other than phones that you can do that with too, like iPads, maybe something like that.
Yeah, I think so, and
So I'm
probably
going to
even
drop
watches.
some of your, I don't know if you have this already, but I'm going to drop some steps in our show notes
No, go
so
for it.
that
That's
we
great.
can,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, there's a lot of those kinds of things. Well, what you just said, your mom a lot of times will talk to you and you can't kind of discern what's happening and she can't put into words what's happening. I get this a lot of times with my dad. He'll call me up and he'll say, my phone's going crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, can you give me some context? At what point did it go crazy? What were you doing when it went crazy? I wasn't doing anything. Okay. Now I'm not, this is not
It's
an
not me
accusation. I'm
saying
trying
it
to
doesn't
figure out what's
happen.
going on.
Yeah, I know.
Do you run into the same sort of thing?
Yes, I do all the time. And you have to watch your attitude. So this is probably from a caretaker's point of view is you have to understand that their attack is not an attack on you. It's a result of a disease, a condition. And you have to answer back in a way that gets the information and does not elicit another reaction. And I know what I'm saying is harder to do than it is to say, right? I really do. But you have to keep that in mind. It's one of those things you have to decide in your head. I often use my techniques way back when I used to run a help desk, that you have to, when people are calling you, they're in stress and need, and you're their rescue. And that's what you are as a caretaker. You're
For
their
sure.
rescue. So you can't let yourself get too worked up. And I know you're looking at me right now because I've already talked to you when I've gotten myself worked up. But you have to understand that that's your human reaction, your id trying to get out, and you have to find a way to calm it down to get to the help that she needs. So, and most important thing you need to do when you see that is tell her everything's okay. There's there's nothing in that phone that's going to hurt her. It might be making a loud noise, but we can fix that ultimately too, and or eventually it will go away. So,
Yeah. That's
so
a
yeah,
really good point.
I think it's a really good idea for us to all know. And there's some people, you're right. My mother can't do anything about Amber Alert. No, if she could tell them anything about it, it wouldn't be anything reliable. So we can go ahead and turn that on. Not for her. I can react, you can react, but the people we're caretaking for, they don't need to be a part of that.
And if it doesn't do anything but agitate them, there's no point in doing no point in that. And even if you just, even if you don't have a dementia sort of thing going on, even if just, at some point in time, if you don't understand the technology, you don't know how to say what's going on and say what's happening. You don't have the context for it, and you have to be patient in trying to pull that context out to help them out, regardless of who you're working with, even if it's, even if it was a peer for that matter, it's just not being a difficult helper, I
And by the
suppose.
way, it does happen on Macs. It happens on PCs and Windows. And on Macs, you can go to notifications and turn it off. You can turn it off in a browser. There are some browsers that have it that way too.
Cool,
So you can go
cool.
into Chrome and turn it off. So
I always love it when we have these subjects where I'll know a little bit about it, and then you go dig in and find out all the other options too. So I love that we can bounce these things off of each other. That's right. That's what I'm talking about. Good team. Well, I think did you have a couple more things for our list today? Let's see here.
not so much. I am trying to think about what I'm going to do for Thanksgiving and holidays with loved ones. And I just wanted to sort of talk about what are some of the things I've done in the past, and maybe that helps somebody think of an idea or two about what they're going to do. So I have two situations. I have a mother in a home who has a caretaker, and then I have a father-in-law who's in assisted living. And they're both fairly close together. So what we normally do is figure out how to get one to the other. And it's usually that we bring my mother closer to my father-in-law and we do something together. So make sure when you're doing that, think about what you're going to be dealing with your loved ones. Is it a visit where you go to them and you visit for a time and then you leave? Or is it an extended stay where you may bring them into a house where other people come in to see each other? And there's some planning that goes along with that. Make sure you got medication. Make sure that you know the rules about taking your loved one out of a assisted living area. The other thing is that you don't want to give too much exposure to people who may be in that kind of infections. It could be overwhelming.
Yep.
So maybe stage it in ways. You don't have to be on Thanksgiving. It can be the day after. It doesn't have to be really in person. You can do things virtually that make a lot of sense where you bring family members over. So we've done a lot of that, and I might drop just some ideas about how to do that. Drop it in the notes. It's time to start thinking about that. You might have to have conversations with your family and what they're going to do and what they're willing to do. So we are actually 6 weeks away from Thanksgiving today as we speak.
I can't believe this
So
year's going as fast.
is
Nuts.
it's coming. And then, right after that is the Christmas and Hanukkah holidays, and you might have to do the same thing. So
Mhm.
find ways to engage your people you're caretaking for, and just think about on how you can do it.
And don't get hung up on a particular date.
No.
You know, it's more about the togetherness than it is about doing it on a particular day. We've tried to do that in our family over the last few years, especially when you get larger extended families, trying to find the right date we can get everybody together. There's no way. So
No.
just know you're not going to pull that off, especially on one particular day, and just kind of spread it over. Make the holiday.
And
They
be
don't call it the holiday
opportunistic.
season for nothing.
Yeah. Be opportunistic. A 15-minute, how are you doing is really good, but it can be
Yeah.
staged in a way that whenever you can.
Yep. And like you said, try to think about there's going to be a limit that anybody's going to be able to run up against about if you go too long. Nobody will stay at the party too long. That right there fits to a lot of situations. Shoot, I don't want to be at the party that long. Yeah, a lot of times. So everybody's got a different tolerance for togetherness, I suppose, is a good way to say it. Yep. And just be mindful of that in as many of the situations as you can, I think is a good way to go about it. You know what? You reminded me of something else I need to talk about.
Okay,
There
cool.
are unicorns. You have a few. If you listened to a couple of episodes back, I might have said that we were looking for a property for my dad, and that I was thinking that unicorns don't exist. We were able to find something in the right price range in the right place that was available and had the right amenities that he liked. It actually worked out, and
Good.
we're in the process of making a purchase at this point for him, and going to get him a little closer to my brother. He's going to live within 2 miles of my brother here as soon as we're done with this, and then we got to get about selling his old place. So it finally came together. It finally came together. So we're pretty happy about that. And now I'm
It
working
took you a
through
while to
all
get
that.
there, but once you did,
Yeah,
you're taking
yeah.
your time finding the right place.
Honestly, once we found it and we made an offer and they accepted the offer, it's been going really fast at this point. So what made me think about it is the holiday season. We may have him in there before Christmas.
Oh,
So
wow. That's
yeah,
fast.
yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So pretty happy about that, and it's going to be good all around for everybody. I think it'll put him a lot closer to some more of his relatives and some people that he knew years and years ago. He's moving back to a small town that he spent a lot of years in. So he told me the other day that the word is already out that he's coming back to town, and he's getting calls from people saying, "I'm so glad you're coming back and can't wait to get together with you." So it's just been good.
So yeah, that's great. So I mean, housewarming is in your schedule, maybe
There you go.
of something you
Yeah.
could do. Yeah,
Yeah. No doubt.
I'm
No
gonna
doubt.
throw some tips in there. I found some good ones
Okay.
about that, and actually 7 tips. I'll just name them real quick. I know we talked about some of them, but they're kind of interesting. Plan the environment around accessibility, which is a good one. Making sure that you in a place where they can move around.
Cool.
Simplify your gathering. Don't make it complicated. That's a good idea too. Modify food and dining comfort. So if you're bringing a lot of people in, do something simple that doesn't require you to cook for every one of them. Maybe it's all about treats. Maybe it's potluck, something like that. Focus on emotional inclusion in what you do. So it's about them, not about you. How's that for a good? I think that's pretty good.
There you go.
But
Yeah.
make sure you manage comfort and their health proactively. So if they have hearing aids, if they have walking aids, if they have, make sure you label things in case you're bringing multiple people to an area, and keep it meaningful, but not perfect, but not necessarily perfect, which I think you hopped on before. It can be just good enough. So that was really nice.
That's great. That was great. It's good advice all around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the theme of it is not it's not to let the environment control you. Control the environment,
Look at you
whether
getting all
that's
bent up.
bringing them in for holidays or taking your time and getting the right place for your father, or being aware of what's agitating them and countering that with calm and a little sensibility, and then frankly enjoying yourself in the holidays, because that's what's for, to make this not so much stressful. So I think
For
those are all
sure.
really good things.
Yeah. And doing that for yourself, being
Doing that
aware of
for
what's
yourself.
doing that to
Yeah.
you
You
and
deserve,
paying
as a
attention.
caretaker, you deserve to have a good time. There's nothing wrong. And even if that good time doesn't include your loved one, it's okay. It's
Yep.
totally okay.
Something I think that, I don't know, maybe everybody does at this point, or at least I do. Do you, as a caretaker, or just as a kid of an older parent, do you ever get this guilty feeling whenever you're doing anything fun?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's part of the syndrome. I think we talked about it before. Caretaker
Yeah.
syndrome is real.
Yeah.
And one of them is the guilt that you have when you just have a good time and you're having a good time by yourself. And you think, but every human being deserves enjoyment in their life. Every human being deserves to have time with their loved one, your wife, their significant other. And if you don't do that with the person you're caretaking with, it is not a crime. It's
That's
actually healthy for you to have that. It's called disengagement,
Mhm.
and you need time to recharge. And there are lots of organizations that recognize that. There are lots of organizations that will come in and give you a day or give you a week, just so, as a caretaker, and you should seek them out, whether it's the Alzheimer's Association or just some of the caretaking items that we have from different elements, everything from Parkinson's to diabetes. They all recognize that the health of the caretaker is essential in
Yep.
what they do. So, yeah,
Yep. And just
there's nothing wrong
kinda,
with that.
I guess what it comes down to is everybody needs to take care of themselves a little bit.
Absolutely.
It's the whole airplane mask thing. You gotta put your mask on first before you can help any
Exactly.
others. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Including other caretakers in your groups.
Yeah.
Sometimes people suffer with those thoughts that you just brought up in silence and thinking I'm the only one like this. But no, 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 you're not. And you got to share and have that conversation with everybody else too.
Yep. Everybody has it. Everybody goes through it. Everybody should probably talk about it. It would do everybody good a lot of good. I really do believe that. And if you can't talk directly with somebody, there are a lot of services online where you can talk to folks. Just journal it if you need to. Just write it down. Sometimes just getting it out
Yeah.
of your head and on paper
Sometimes
or
talking to
on.
is a way of talking to yourself. It's,
Yeah,
you journal it.
absolutely. Yep, sure
Absolutely.
enough.
And there are lots of good tech that does that. Some recent ones, Apple has come up with something called Journal and expanded it from the phone to the iPad. There are lots of free journals out there you can get. I might throw some of those in there too. Why not? So
Yeah, that's great. Even
I'll look for
Apple
some
Notes
journals
or
and throw
just
them in the show
paper and
notes as
pad
well.
for that matter. I've
Yeah.
I've been trying lately to journal some just analog, just on paper with a
Hmm.
pen.
Yeah.
And I can do it, and it does help. I think there is something different there. I see all these, influencers saying, "Well, yeah, yes, this is the only way to do it. You should really do it this way because it does something different for your brain." Maybe I kinda get that, but what I find is that it's been so long that since I have written anything of substance longhand, that I get more aggravated with the fact that I'm having my A's come out weird, or I'm having trouble reading what I just wrote down, than it is than I'm actually getting out of my head. So I go back and forth. I do some on paper. I do some electronically. I actually can get a whole lot more out electronically quicker. I know it's not a
Yeah. I do
productivity
too.
thing, but it feels better to me in some cases. Okay. Well, all right. I'll quit teasing us with the end of the thing today, but I think we're about at the end of our list, and we just want to, one, thank you all guys for listening, and two, thank you for any sharing that you've done, and you've told other folks about us, and we appreciate it if you could rate and review us wherever you listen to us, whether it happens to be Spotify or Apple Podcast or Google Play or Amazon or wherever. But just if there's a way to say, hey, these guys are doing okay and doing a pretty good job, how about doing that for us? It really helps our channel, and we appreciate you.
Yeah. We want you to notify us and give us a review. So grow the
Yeah.
community.
All right. Well, thanks, y'all. We appreciate you spending some time with us, and we'll see you again soon.
Yes. Happy fall.
Happy fall.